Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our morning get together live here on Facebook, where we go searching for good news to share every morning from our city, from the state, from the country. And we go looking for interesting comments and topic ideas you may have. And we try to build. We try to construct, we try to put together, we try to build. That's what I'm trying to say. An entertaining broadcast Monday through Saturday every morning here on Facebook for us to enjoy. How is everybody doing? Today is Wednesday, February 7th, and the reason why I start today's broadcast with putting together is because some days we have a lot of news, some days we don't have that much to share. And today is one of those days. So what happens? What happens when there's not a lot of news to share? Well, I have to improvise, that's for sure. So I'm being very wordy and very windy this morning just because there's not a lot of things to talk about. But you know what? These days are also great opportunities for you to provide me with feedback on how to maneuver through these days. Now, by the book, and I do try to be careful about this, but yesterday I played hooky, and I'll tell you why I played hooky in a second. By the book, I always try to have a few segments lined up that might be interesting for you, and sometimes I have them, sometimes I don't. And somebody has commented recently to me that, the broadcast used to feature a lot of more things, and now you just go in and you tell the news, and then you leave. What's going on with that? So I'm wondering, on days in which there's not a lot of news, do we make our broadcast shorter? Should I try harder? Should I ask for your feedback? Should we have more of a conversational thing going on? Please feel free to let me know. I will create, or I have created, a couple of diversions to make today be entertaining, but we'll get to that in a second. As always, when it comes to giving feedback, it helps a great deal if you add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comments, because that way I know that you're actually chatting with me or hoping to get my reaction as opposed to whatever conversations you have during the broadcast, which are lovely, of course. And if you're watching live for the first time, feel free to let us know by writing the word new and let us know what's on your mind. So let's see what we have for today. We have something that might be of interest to people that are flying into town in the near future, or who have friends flying into town in the near future from another country. Everything indicates that if you're flying into town from another country and your flight is scheduled to arrive between 2 and 4 p.m. at the local airport, you can expect to spend a considerable amount of time waiting to go through customs. You see, the lines are getting longer because so many flights are going to be arriving or are arriving between 2 and 4 p.m. nowadays, creating a funnel effect. Now, authorities are aware of this, and according to Luis Villaseñor, who oversees the Puerto Vallarta Tourism Bureau, they've appealed to airlines to change some of their flight arrivals times to avoid this funnel effect that has been evidently created during the afternoons. Why is this happening? Well, according to Villaseñor, the number of people interested in visiting our city is on the rise, and we don't have a solution in the horizon. Well, the only solution in the horizon would be the completion of the new terminal, which is currently under construction. This is not happening just yet, although if you drive past the airport, you will see that they're building it. But in the meantime, a new series of electronic custom terminals have arrived in town that will make passport scanning more efficient. I don't know if these have been installed or not, but I'm wondering what your experience has been in terms of arriving at the airport lately. I haven't arrived from another country in like 5 years, when I went to Colombia and then I went to Cuba, but it's been a long time. I also wanted to let you know that according to Banderas News, DiVino Dante will be hosting a luncheon and fashion show to benefit the Colina Spay and Neuter Clinic. The event will take place this coming Saturday, and all the details are available in this English article, which you can find in the show notes. And I'm grateful to see that many of, well, at least a couple of you have started asking about other things that we usually don't discuss here. If you have any questions for me, please feel free to ask them today. This could be about anything related to, of course, what we discuss here. So if you have any questions, just add a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment, and we'll be so very happy to take a look at it after the weather. But before we get to the weather, we have this. It's the month of love, and in my first music appreciation presentation of the month, titled Off the Beaten Score, we unpack a handful of amazing love songs from the musical stage and screen. But not the ones you probably already know. Instead, I've chosen some of the most beautiful, lesser-known songs of the repertoire. We will uncover the various dimensions of love, from passionate encounters between people of different ages to heart-wrenching tales of love interrupted by fate. Off the Beaten Score isn't just a presentation. It's an opportunity to discover hidden musical gems. Join me for an afternoon of discovery as we unpack these lesser-known yet profoundly moving musical masterpieces. The meeting is, as always, at the Joint Boutique Hotel and Co-work this coming Thursday, February 8 at 5 p.m. Tickets are available at the hotel's front desk. See you there. And now we turn over to the weather. That is very funny because snarky weather is being unusually polite today. It says there is no rain in your area with few exceptions. And if I recall correctly, there is rain forecast for today, but we'll get to that in a second. Right now, I can tell you we're enjoying 24 degrees, very comfortable. Humidity is high at 81%, and our weather forecast for today is light rain throughout the day with a chance of rain of 23%, a high of 28, and a low of 22. Then tomorrow, humid with partly cloudy skies throughout the day, a high of 27 and a low of 19. And then on Friday, mostly clear skies, but a few clouds may be wandering around with a high of 27 and a low of 19. And that's what we have for the weather forecast. I am so happy to see that Logan is watching this morning because one of my giggles yesterday had to do with Logan, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Well, actually, I went to the movies yesterday. Logan was with me. I had a brownie just because that's what I do. I go to the movies and I have a brownie. And there was a specific moment during the trailers or a movie was about to start, and I started laughing. And I started laughing because, and it was totally not the proper moment to be laughing because, well, anyhow, I just, for some reason, I remembered of a certain, we have a farting iguana, we have a cursing parrot, we have a cackling parrot, but there's this other interesting YouTube pet that I keep thinking we should adopt for coffee and headlines. And somehow I got to thinking about this particular pet yesterday halfway through the movies, and I started laughing at the most inappropriate time. So I want to introduce you to the automatic bunny. And this seems to be like the best week to deploy this pet. This bunny has a special feature. It poops on command. Take a look. So there you have it. Maybe what happened at some swimming pool this weekend is somebody fell asleep and they got poked in the head or something. I don't know. I just love collecting these things because they're funny. They're funny.
Forgot to check the oil pressure. When Kramer hears about this, the shit's gonna hit the fan.
Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. So, yes, we went to the movies yesterday, and I want to tell you a little bit about that. First of all, we went to see this. This was extraordinary. Past Lives was just hysterically wonderful. Very moving, very touching. It has been nominated to for a couple of Academy Awards, but I will be the first person to recommend not watching it here in Puerto Vallarta unless your Spanish language command or your command of the Spanish language is decent. You see, a lot of the dialogue in this film is in Korean. And this film being screened in Mexico, the subtitles are in Spanish. So if you don't understand Spanish as this kind of stuff that you would want to read in subtitles, then you may want to wait to watch this online or watch it in an English-speaking country where the Korean dialogue will be properly subtitled to English. But it was absolutely stunning. And because your comments are great. And because it was Tuesday, 2-for-1 at Cinepolis VIP, which is my new vice, guess what? We did a double feature. I can't remember the last time I went to the movies and watched two movies on the same outing. And maybe that's the reason why I don't have enough material put together for today. Guilty as charged. But of course, the second film we went to watch was The Holdovers, which is an absolute must. Paul Giamatti was hysterically funny and wonderful, and he's such a great actor. I strongly recommend this. It is the rare week that the movie theater has two Academy Award or nominated films playing at the same time, and they were both absolutely wonderful. Poor Things is still in the movie theater, and I strongly recommend that film as well. And before we start looking at your comments, in case you have any, and I see that you've asked a bunch of pertinent questions, which I very much appreciate, on a day like today, we haven't played this in a long time. You cannot call yourself a Puerto Vallarta English-speaking local until you have blank. Please feel free to fill in the blank on that statement, and hopefully we will add some new instances to our growing collection of things you must do or you must experience to call yourself an English-speaking local. The last thing I added to the list is that you must have a good understanding of why the bells in churches ring when they do and the number of times they do, which I am currently researching. In the meantime, let us switch the funny music on, and I'm going to stay here. Let me see, where is the funny music that we play when we are, I think it's this one. Yes, it is. Okay, so I'm going to stay on this screen because I want to keep that. You cannot call yourself a Puerto Vallarta English-speaking local business on the screen so you can fill in the blank. So I am looking at your comments for this morning at present time. Let us see what you bring to the table. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oh, Larcito. Yes, Larcito's coming to Guadalajara with me, or I'm going to Guadalajara with Lars. The adventure that I told you about yesterday. We have purchased bus tickets. We have purchased symphony tickets. We have purchased opera tickets. We are almost good to go. Yay. Pum pum pum. Dan reports, getting together with a couple of cluster members later on today. How fun. I love it when I learn that you guys are socializing and making new friends, and I love it. Thank you very much for that, Barbara. I bought it at Walmart. Good clothes, very inexpensive. Let's see what we have. Did you see Vallarta Independiente's commentary on the mayor's minimalizing the event near El Ranchito yesterday? Interesting read this morning. I did not see that specific article, Gary, but I do know that there was a balacera yesterday. What do you call a balacera in English? Hold on just a second. Hey, Alexa, ¿cómo se dice balacera en inglés? Well, I don't understand what she said. The volume is low. But balacera is when a lot of people, it's a gunshot. It's a conflict. There was some kind of military conflict with drug people. And yes, local news tend to minimize rather, whenever bad things happen. I don't usually talk about bad things here at Coffee and Headlines unless they're big. When I see something like, the narco going at it with the military and vice versa, I always ask myself, well, how much impact does this have on my daily life? And more often than not, I choose not to bring those kinds of news here to Coffee and Headlines because you can find information about that elsewhere. But of course, whenever you have a question about negative stuff, you should always feel free or feel welcome to bring up your questions here. So thank you very much for that, Gary. The short of it is, bad stuff happens every day. We just don't talk about it. But thank you very much for bringing it up. Here is another one. Paco, you mentioned several shows ago regarding a local tour guide that you know about. They service many hiking, eco tours, etc. Also, the man who conducts the tour does not charge cost. However, strongly suggest donating tips the guides. Spencer, I don't remember specifically who I mentioned. Whenever you do broadcasts 6 days a week, 52 weeks per year, it's difficult to keep track. This is why we have the show notes. So I'm sorry I don't specifically remember who you are referring to. But feel free to look through the show notes and hopefully you will find the answer that you are looking for. It could have been Vallarta 101, or it could have been Gary Thompson, who does sculpture tours. So forgive me if I'm not remembering these things. Usually they show up in the show notes. Let's see what else we have. Albert comments that the airport terminal has been empty 3 years in a row by arriving earlier. That might serve some people. Meanwhile, Christy says they really need more people. I think they're aware of that, Christy, and they're doing whatever they can. This is not an excuse, but there seems to be such a shortage of workers in many different areas here in Puerto Vallarta. I don't know why that is, but I certainly hope that the woes international travelers face when they arrive in Puerto Vallarta will be minimized in the future. That's cute that this Villaseñor person will have the influence to convince the complicated infrastructure of airlines and other international air travel authorities to change their itineraries all around just to accommodate our little airport's organizational challenges. Well, Logan, I will agree and I will disagree with you. I don't know if he is influential or not. I would like to believe that the Tourism Bureau, by virtue of attending all these important travel expos and shows and things like that, that they would have close interaction with the different airlines. I don't know if he's powerful or if he's not, but at the very least, everything seems to indicate that authorities are mindful of this. I would certainly hate to think that they're just sitting around with their arms crossed, not wanting to do anything. I met him once or twice at a party, and he seems like a nice guy. Let's see. Michael went to Guadalajara over the weekend, was very impressed, and also went to Tlaquepaque. Good for you. Good for you. I am so very happy to hear anytime anyone goes to Guadalajara and comes back having had a good experience. Mark says, thank you for mentioning the fashion show, Paco. Linda is one of the models. It should be fun for all that attend. I'm always happy to mention these things, Mark, when they come from credible sources or when they're easy to find. In this particular case, it was easy to find because it was published by Banderas News, and we trust Banderas News to publish complete information. But if whenever we see something in on on um, on Facebook events or whenever we see it in local press, it is always easy to include these things. And something happened to the chit chat music. I don't know what, so I'm going to switch over here. There you go. Here we have it on loop. Let's see what else we have. Da 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 ba bum. There's another cue, also from Spencer. The main bus terminal in the PV area is the airport bus terminal, correct? Yes. Approximately how far is the bus terminal from the airport actually? It depends on how you're getting there. If you're walking, it'll take you 25 minutes. If you're taking an Uber, it'll take you probably like 7 minutes. It's very near. If you look at it in the map, on the Google map, you'll see that they are quite near to each other. Let's see. Here's one of those people. Trudy says we arrived Saturday and we had a long wait at the airport. There are a few lanes with new equipment, but they're not in use yet at the customs entrance. Well, hopefully they will be installed sometime in the near future. Then I see a lot of comments, a lot of oh my god, a lot of oh my dears. I think you like the new pet, the shitting bunny. Let's see. Trudy adds, we are in Nuevo and looking to buy pool lounger pads. Is there anyone in the cluster that knows a place to purchase them? Pool lounger pads, and you are in Nuevo. I would think you can find those at Home Depot, but being in Nuevo, I think you should also be able to find them. There's a bunch of furniture stores on the main highway. There's got to be a place there. I hope you find what you're looking for. Let's see. Yes, Linda, yes, because, it's interesting. I organized a big my friends and I organized a big going to the movies thing 2 days ago, and now we have this little group that always gets together and goes to the movies on Tuesdays. And somebody wisely remarked, English speakers may not want to go to past lives because of that. And I saw some English speaking folk or people that look like foreigners at the theater, and I hope they didn't leave disappointed because of that. Did you know that Carlos Santana has been in Puerto Vallarta filming an HBO thing? I did not know that, Elizabeth. That is interesting. Thank you very much for that tip. Gary says, I could not brownie and then attend a movie. I get the uncomfortable giggles. And of course, at inappropriate moments. Oh my God. Logan, we have just been described by Gary Bertels. Actually, usually I only brownie in two places. Here at home because I don't have to explain myself to anyone. And at the movies because it gives me the giggles at all the inappropriate moments. Actually, I am guilty as charged, but I love going to the movie theater and relinquishing my willpower to the effect of a good brownie. There, I said it out loud. Let's see. You're not an English-speaking local until you have given directions to a tourist. That's a good one. That's a basic one, but that's a good one. Absolutely. This is an important message from Muffin. We're trying to send a message to the bigwigs in Mexico City that we're not all just a bunch of country bumpkins here in Puerto Vallarta, only interested in superhero or silly romantic comedy movies. It is an ongoing problem, Logan, as you know. Sometimes the people that program films in our movie theaters are just thinking revenue, and some of these more artsy movies don't get programmed as long as we'd like to. But we were very fortunate. And again, I hadn't done a double movie feature yesterday, as we did yesterday, in a long time. It was lots of fun. I felt like a teenager, actually. You're not an English speaking local until you've climbed the stairs to Mirador de la Cruz. Yes, that is correct. I love it. You're not an English speaking local until you have explained to other gringos that there are other banks besides Intercam. Oh my God, that is very good here. Thank you very much, Gary. Yes, I love it. You're not an English speaking local until Telmex cuts your service because they needed your cable to hook up a new customer in your buildings 2 times. Oh my God. I'm very sorry to read that, but it doesn't sound so far off. I love it. Thank you very much. Yes, I think we were talking about Memo Lira. Memo Lira, that would be Vallarta 101 on Facebook. So give Memo Lira a go for free tours that you get to tip, and definitely get to tip. Don't go to these tours just because Memo doesn't charge, and take advantage of that, please. Let's see. There's a queue here. A group of us went on the hike to the El Salto waterfall. I can't remember the name either. Oh, that was the Corazon Tours from Mexico City. They have a local branch now, the Corazon Tours. And should we start a list of Puerto Vallarta tour guide resources here on Coffee and Headlines, please? Because we have a map that indicates several important locations, but we don't have a list of trusted resources for tour guides and such. If you think that would be a good idea, local resources, local restaurants, local taxi guides, taxi drivers, etc., just write the word resources in a comment and I will make it so. Let's see. Paco, do you know a great story in Pitillal that might focus on boxes, containers? I do not, but I know one on Francisco Villa, not far from your restaurant, Gina. If you are heading on Francisco Villa, not towards Pitillal, but towards the other direction, and you've just crossed the Libramiento, right after you cross the Libramiento, on the right-hand side, there is a store that sells cardboard boxes and shipping chingaderas. So that may be what you are referring to. If not, let me know, and I'll think of something else. You are not an English-speaking local until you interpret labels at the grocery stores for a snowbird. You might be an English-speaking local. Well, yes, this happens. This is true. That's a good one. I am not an English-speaking local. You're not an English-speaking local until you tell a taxi driver how to get somewhere. Oh, that's brilliant. And it happens a lot. Yes to the list of tour guides. Got it. Here is, you are not an English-speaking local until a group of tourists stops you to complain about accessibility in Puerto Vallarta and then wants to argue when you tell them that it is actually pretty good. Well, coming from Den and Kathy, who are very comfortable experiencing the city by pushing a wheelchair, I totally think that is beautiful. And a lot of you want to see resources, so I will start accumulating a list of resources for us to enjoy here. And surprisingly enough, even without few news, we filled a good solid half an hour of hopefully helpful content and helpful ideas for us to move forward. Again, I apologize if we didn't have any interesting, relevant news today or not enough, but I thank you for giving me some good content ideas for the future. And that is the end of today's broadcast. I hope we learned something new. I hope we had a little bit of laughs, and I hope to see you again tomorrow at the same time as usual. Between now and then, stay happy, stay kind, stay connected, and stay in touch. Take care.